So let me kind of break this whole thing down and just kind of talk about like where did this come from? Because I know you are confused because when I was seeing what was happening, I was really confused. I was confused. On Twitter mostly, people were insinuating Aliyah Boston has underlining issues with Caitlin Clark. This was a thing. I can't believe I'm saying it, but yes, this was a thing. Now, if you want to know where it came from, I am going to pull up exhibit number one. Exhibit number one. I'm going to get right to it. So this is a video of Aliyah Boston and Candace Parker. They have their own podcast. They have their own podcast. And in this podcast, they talked about MVPs. Who should be the MVP of the WNBA? And on this list of four people, Caitlin Clark's name was not on this list. Now, this was this podcast dropped maybe a couple weeks ago. So, a lot has changed since then, right? The Indiana Fever, they continue to beat good opponents. Caitlin Clark clearly at this moment looks like a top 2 to 3 MVP candidate right now. Like, you can't deny that at this moment. But like I said, this was 2 weeks ago. A lot has changed, but this is kind of like the origins of why people, mostly Caitlin Clark stands, they feel like Aliyah Boston has some type of underlying beef with Caitlin Clark. So let me play this video. This is from Candace Parker and Aliyah Boston's podcast. They have a podcast together. And a couple of weeks ago, they were talking about their top 4 MVP candidates.
I think in terms of MVP, it may not be in this order, but to me, it's A'ja Wilson, surprise, surprise, Olivia Miles,
Kelsey Mitchell.
Can I get there?
Oh, my bad.
Kelsey Mitchell, Paige Beckers. Those are my 4. I think you could swap, but I think Olivia Miles gets the edge just because they're the number 1 team in the league. They're head and shoulders, I would say, above. But yeah, I think A'ja Wilson, again, unless voters get tired, this midseason, yeah, it's hard not to have her in the conversation. I think in terms of MVP.
So that's where it all started at. That was the beginning of people questioning, hey, what's going on with Aliyah Boston? Does she have a vendetta against Caitlin Clark? Yo, what's going on? Because Candace Parker named 4 people as MVP candidates. She said A'ja Wilson, Paige Beckers, Kelsey Mitchell, and Olivia Miles. Now, Aliyah Boston said Kelsey Mitchell. She threw it out there. Kelsey Mitchell, and Candace Parker was like, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. Now, if you ask me, do I think this is a big deal? I don't think it's that big of a deal. Do I agree with that top 4 list? I don't. I would definitely have Caitlin Clark in my top 4 as far as MVP candidates. And yes, this was a couple weeks ago. This isn't recent. But even a couple of weeks ago, I would still have Caitlin Clark in my top 4. Like, she deserves it. But do I think this is a big deal that Caitlin Clark's teammate, Aliyah Boston, didn't say her name in top 4? To be honest, no, I don't think it's a big deal. Because this is the thing. Who gives a damn if you're in that locker room? Who is the MVP of the WNBA? And I say that because the Indiana Fever, They are in the top 4 in the WNBA, and they have championship aspirations. They do. They want to win a championship this year. They do. So if you want to talk about MVPs and who should be an MVP, who shouldn't be, like, I get it. Aliyah Boston, Candace Parker, they're in the content space, which, I don't agree with Aliyah Boston doing a podcast during the middle of the season. Like, this is why she's in hot water. This is why she's in hot water. You're doing a podcast during the middle of a very important season. You just got paid the richest contract in WNBA history. You're a millionaire now. And you're doing podcasts with a WNBA legend who is very opinionated, to say the least. Candace Parker, she's opinionated, and I respect her opinions. She's a WNBA legend. She has something to say, I will listen. But Aliyah Boston, you put yourself in a kind of a bad position, to be completely honest. Doing this podcast in the middle of the season, you guys have championship aspirations. At this point, content creators, people with strong opinions, people with voices in the sports world, they're going to nitpick every single thing you say and every single thing you do. So for you, and there's no smoke with Candace Parker. People really don't care what Candace Parker had to say, to be honest with you. All the smoke is with Aliyah Boston. That's where all the energy is going towards. And there are a lot of YouTube content creators who are Caitlin Clark stans. Not a fan, a stan. A stan goes beyond a fan. Meaning, in their eyes, Caitlin Clark, you can't criticize her. You can't do it. They won't allow for any type of criticisms to Caitlin Clark. Me, I'm a Caitlin Clark fan. I will sing her praises when I need to sing her praises. And I will criticize Caitlin Clark when Caitlin Clark needs to be criticized. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal for me to say, hey, Caitlin Clark, you got to get better defensively. And she has. I'm just talking. Hey, Caitlin Clark, you might be jacking up too many logo threes right now. Right now is not the time for that. It's just me talking. But I have no issue with being critical of Caitlin Clark. I promise you I don't. So yeah, Aliyah Boston, she kind of put herself in this position unnecessarily, talking about, MVPs. And this is the thing. She sung the praises of her teammate, Kelsey Mitchell, who has been like the forgotten player in this whole situation. Obviously, Kelsey Mitchell is an amazing basketball player who can score the ball at ease. She's a scorer. That's what she does. She gets buckets. And if you want to have conversations of Kelsey Mitchell being an MVP candidate, I will listen to it. I'll listen because I know how valuable she is to the Indiana Fever. To be honest with you, all three, the big three on the Indiana Fever team, Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, Aliyah Boston, they're all important to that team. All three had different roles, but all three, they're very important. I feel like if one of those players goes missing, they won't win a championship. It's that simple. They need each other. Now,